Hello, my name is Peter Jarrett-Schell. I'm the rector of Calvary Episcopal Church in Washington and the chair of the Diocesan Reparations Task Force. I imagine we've all heard at least some part of the national conversation around reparations. I find it can be easy to disengage when we talk about making reparation for a history of anti-Black racism. If you're like me, especially if you're also white, maybe you experience feelings of guilt for what's been done, or defensiveness as if we're being accused, or even despair that there's no way to make it right. Or maybe, if you're coming from a different perspective, if you're a person of color, the term reparations might raise red flags, as if we're simply going to repeat again a history of broken promises, unambitious goals, and weak follow-through. You may even wonder if reparations is just a term for a kind of hush money, an attempt to silence difficult and necessary conversations around racism and race, honoring all our feelings about this, whatever they may be. I want to invite each of us to take a deep breath. I want to invite us to consider reparations as a process of grace, relationship, and creativity. I want us to imagine the joy that the tax collector Zacchaeus must have felt when, with brave intention, he came down from the tree and freely promised, in as far as he was able, to make right all the wrongs that had enriched him. Our diocese has spent 200 years bound to a history of racial oppression. Reparations is the slow process of freeing ourselves from that gilded cage of white supremacy that holds us, melting it down, and forging of it something new. It's a process of grace, relationship, and creativity. Reparations is a process of grace. We will make mistakes along the way. In my role as chair of the Reparations Task Force, I have made so many mistakes. The important thing will be to acknowledge them, learn from them, and try again, doing better each time. Reparations is a process of relationship. We will work together, both those who have been harmed by a legacy of anti-Black racism and those who have benefited from that legacy. We will learn together and learn from one another as we go. Now, that relationship can be rough and uncomfortable at times, but it can also be deeply loving in the truest sense of the word. Reparations is a creative process, one that calls us to imagine new ways of being the body of Christ together. It calls us to dismantle the foundation of institutional racism in our society. It's a process of looking at all these unjustly amassed riches, holding up the vision of those directly harmed, and imagining new possibilities together. And there are so many possibilities. Over the next few months, the task force will be sharing resources to help diocesan communities and congregations begin thinking about and moving toward making reparations for that history of institutional racism and harm against the Black community. The resources will include monthly storytelling videos throughout the summer and a 2-week adult learning curriculum you can use in your congregations in September, all leading up to a day-long symposium on Saturday, October 1st, where together we will explore what reparations might look like in the Diocese of Washington. As Christians in the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, we have committed to bravely uncover, reckon with, and dismantle racism. That journey can be a difficult one, but with God's grace, the road to reparations is a path of grace, relationship, and creation. I want to invite you to join us as we walk it together.